Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Welcome to my review for the latest episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, episode 4. Is this 4 for 4 now? Let's find out. Okay, so this episode has just dropped. I've watched it, and now thusly I'm reviewing it like I do every week. Now, if that's for you, then come over, join the channel, because I will be reviewing the series on a weekly basis, as I have done Discovery and Picard before this. So, yeah, please hit the subscribe button, leave me a comment afterwards. It does wonders for the channel, and I like the interaction. It's really good. Now, I will warn you that before I get into this review that there possibly will be spoilers, but I'm going to keep them to a minimum. Not to spoil the episode for you, but I will talk about the episode, of course. Now, this episode is titled Memento Mori, which is actually Latin for remember that you die, or remember that you have to die. And it's an artistic or symbolic trope acting as a reminder of the inevitability of death. Yes, and that's pretty much the themes of this episode. Now, this episode was directed by Dan Liu and written by Donnie Perez and Bo DeMayo. So this episode defines the USS Enterprise delivering an atmosphere processor to a planet called Phineas 3. Only when they get there, there's no hails. They can't find any sign of life. And one of their satellites has been destroyed, so thusly they beam down to the planet to find out what's gone, and everyone has been slaughtered. But then this ship appears in space, and it's got some survivors on board. So the Enterprise obviously beams these people on board. Not only that, but the Enterprise is near a brown dwarf which is circling a black hole. All right. Then what happens is that we find out that these survivors, as they're being brought on board, that it's all a ploy, all a trap, and basically this enemy, which is a classic Star Trek villain, which I believe they're going to be setting up in this season for this, to make an appearance. Only we don't see them, we only see their ships. They're keeping what they look like a mystery, because there will be a massive update on them. So this episode then moves into sort of Star Trek II Wrath of Khan territory, where the ships enter into a gas cloud, which is the brown dwarf, which is being sucked into the black hole, and the ships lose all sight of each other and this sort of a thing, and they're manoeuvring around, missing one another. Yeah, so very Star Trek II in that sense. And that's pretty much the crux of the episode. The majority of the episode is focused around this going on within the gas cloud and this sort of cat and mouse game between the Enterprise and these enemy vessels that have followed them in. The characters on board are kind of split up in the sort of aftermath of the attack on the Enterprise, with Uhuru and the chief engineer being trapped, having to work together in a cargo bay. You've got number one. She's put out of action, and this gives something for the medical bay team to do. And then you've got pretty much the remaining crew on board the bridge and going out on a mission in a shuttlecraft, and this sort of thing, all interacting. Now, the episode does give a lot of love to the character of Noonien Singh, Lieutenant Noonien Singh. There's a lot delving into her past and stuff that she's gone through, and if you know her backstory, you can probably figure out the alien race. But yeah, so it does delve into her and what happened with her, so you get a lot of stuff there. There's stuff between her and Anson Mount, Christopher Pike, and how she needs to act as one of the leading roles within the ship, security officer. But in this episode, she steps up into that number one position again, while number one is out of the way in the medical bay. Yeah, so that's pretty much the episode. Okay, I'm not going to go into detail any more than that. But what I can tell you is that this is 4 for 4. This was a fantastic episode. Very, very strong episode again. Aside from me feeling, okay, I've now got to head in, like, using Star Trek 2 slightly, but with a bit more danger element to it, shall we say, in that there's several things they're having to deal with at once. kind of like putting the ship between a rock and a hard place, shall we say. And it's quite ironic that they head into the Star Trek 2 territory, considering Lieutenant Noonien Singh and what happens with the Enterprise in Star Trek 2. There's just that sort of mirroring of that film. But other than that, a fine episode. The fact that all the crew were sort of split up makes sense in the context of the story. It's more believable than what your other Star Trek shows have given you. And what I like is that although these are individual episodes, you do have a flow of character arc running through them. So unlike your other Star Treks, the recent ones, it ain't, you know, you haven't got that big story going all the way through. You've got individual personal stories, but you have character arc flowing through, if I can get that out. Flowing through the episodes, which is fantastic, and we're finding out more. And I'll tell you what, the cast has really grown on me. There's not really one person in this cast that I struggle with at the moment. Like the Doctor's a bit somewhat undeveloped, and maybe a couple of other characters, but for the most part, we're only 4 episodes in. They're growing nicely and very strong, and I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying this show immensely. This is definitely Star Trek as it's meant to be. 4 episodes in and 4 hits, 4 goals, shall we say. They haven't missed that goal yet. So very enjoyable stuff. Fantastic. Love it. Big thumbs up from me. Let me know what you think about this episode. Let's have a conversation. Let's get it started. Tell me the good, the bad. I'm open to hearing it all. I'm open to discussing it all, because sometimes people will leave messages and it makes me think, oh, I didn't consider that. That's a very good point. And I love that stuff. And believe me, I'm not one of these people that's going to argue with you or say, you know, you don't like it, so I don't like you. You know, we all have different opinions on stuff. So let's have a friendly conversation. Hit that subscribe button. Come over to the channel. Support it. Come back next week. Give me a thumbs up, all that sort of stuff. And yes, and let's enjoy this series together and talk about Star Trek, because that's what we're here for, because we love Star Trek. And through the good, the bad, we just need good Star, and this is good Star Trek. What more can I say? It's good Star Trek. Anyway, this is AJ. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care all, and goodbye.